space, to make it professionally actually do it. And, the figures are with us. It's less than 1% of the people usually get at the grassroots level who actually make it professionally. Even a country like Ghana that has exported so many talents, we still have so many who have remained in Ghana and still unable to make, a viable career out of sports. In Kenya, it's probably even, I don't want to say worse, but, in East Africa, we are not really renowned as being, a football part of the country. So the interest from the developed sports economies, primarily Europe has not been in East Africa. It has been in West Africa, where they see as talent. But in my view, there is equally good talent in East Africa as there is in West Africa. It's just that West Africa has had more investment because of the way football was opened up as an economy. So yeah, that's my yes and no. Yes, the opportunities are there, but Africa is yet to maximize and really be a big player at the global level in terms of creating and retaining economic value of football on the continent.
Let's look at this East African conversation. Across the world, lots of countries have been very strategic with where they prioritize when it comes to sport. So in East Africa, you're renowned for athletics, especially the long distance running. Is that perhaps one of the reasons why? Is it because, listen, you found a niche and people have decided that this is what these guys are known for? So let's pump investment there and neglect perhaps the rest that have great potential.
You'd be surprised that even in East Africa, it's not that we have a lot of investment going into athletics as such. We don't invest, but we have a particular community, and based on the geography where they come from, they have this natural ability to run, especially middle and long distance running. So a lot of these guys, again, based on the success we have had over history, they see the opportunity in making it big within athletics, and they really struggle to invest their time to try and get out. And just like in football, we have agents or talent recruiters who have come into the space and gone into this particular community to get these runners out, and they create world beaters out of them. And this is what is showcased to the world. But the investment is not really there, and if you investigate well, you find out a lot of these athletes really struggle to make it to that level that they have. That said, even in East Africa, football is still the most popular sport. Like, it's played by a majority of the youths. Even those who go later into basketball or rugby, they have played football at some point. So that's why, and I'll speak to this later, I think it's really important for Africa to invest in football primarily in order to unlock the entire sports ecosystem, the entire sports economy.
Amazing stuff. We're still live on Sporty FM. Brian is here all the way from Kenya. We're delving into the conversation. Eli Kondo is here as well. Eli, I'll come to you just so we mix it up a bit. FIFA surpassed their revenue target for the 2026 World Cup. In fact, they were aiming to get a little over $11 billion. They got $13.75 billion. That's crazy money. In 2022, they got about 7.5 billion from the World Cup. And it's not just a windfall, but as a sign that the monetary side of the game is becoming the focal point of the game. Some people say, if we keep concentrating just on that side of it, football is being watered down. Is this something you agree with?
Well, football is run by money. If there is no money, we cannot have the good infrastructure to play the football on. We cannot have the good promotions. Players will not be paid well. Coaches will not be paid well. The ecosystem will suffer, and football will not really be nurtured as it's supposed to be. So money actually is what runs football. And if football is well marketed or well promoted, you get the attraction it deserves with regards to money. Now, if you are saying, you're comparing the statistics, that means that FIFA has made almost 90% of the revenue they generated from the last World Cup. That is now more like the most lucrative sports ever.
But people are saying, just for the fact that they generated that amount of money, they excluded a lot of people who genuinely love the sport, because people couldn't afford tickets, people couldn't afford to go around and all of that. And
but
looking at that part,
a lot of people watch TV across the globe.
So you're saying now football is a sport for the rich?
No, what I'm trying to say is that it's lucrative in a sense that they've been able to generate a lot of money from. So it was just not the attendance or the sponsorships that they made these monies from. The TV rights, people paid broadcast rights to be able to broadcast the tournament across the globe. So based on the views, based on the sponsorship packages, in-stadium advertisement, gate fees or the ticketing prices, all of these things emulated or accounted for the huge money they made from this tournament. Now, don't forget as well that players are going to be paid for participating in this tournament. Clubs are going to be paid for participating in this tournament. A lot of countries are earning money who participated in this tournament. Ghana, for instance, is earning almost $13 million from participating at this World Cup. The Tunisia, who did not do that well, are even earning around 11 million.
Do that well. They did abysmal.
Yeah, but they're earning $11 million from just going and participating at the tournament without winning any game. So, in as much as we are talking about the fact that money is diluting the sport, it's also enriching economies and promoting younger talents who get opportunity to play in the future. Now, when countries say, okay, well, we've earned $13 million or $11 million from the World Cup participation, they can decide, okay, we're going to build some infrastructure, astroturfs or community pitches. These activations will in return help promote and develop young talents for the future. So money is very essential to every sport. Golf is making so much in terms of money. Tennis, a lot of money being paid to athletes who are competing in these sports. So it's not just about the fact that, the sport is there, but the money in return shows what this sport is actually showing off. And let's also talk about the fact that sponsors are selling their products or reaching out to a whole ecosystem and even people who do not even know sports through football. People watch football and are hearing about a particular water brand for the first time because they're just watching a World Cup tournament, and that water brand somehow is going to be making millions of dollars just by associating themselves with football. So yes, sports is essential to developing young ones, keeping fit and all of that. But the money aspect is also very important because it ends up promoting and developing not just the sports, but people who are involved or working around the sport. So it's good that FIFA is making money. It's not just going to sit in their coffers or their accounts. In return, people are going to benefit from it. Countries, individual athletes, football associations, and the young ones who are out there who might be hoping to play football in the future would also end or get some benefit from this revenue that has been generated from the World Cup.
Amazing. I will come back to the commercial and the marketing aspect of it because that's the key cog of what we do. But then again, on the fringes of all of that is the governance and the leadership and all of that. First of all, how do you rate leadership when it comes to African sports, football?
I think when it comes to governance, that's our weakest area as Africa, African football, African sports. Sporty. And I'll answer this as also, comment on some of the points that my friend has made up. Yes, FIFA is able to make a lot of money at the World Cup level. That's the business model that they have used for the longest time, and be able to invest this back into the football, as they said, into football development. And this is done with the assumption that, for example, our football associations will be able to take this money and actually put it in the grassroots. But that's where, in my view, Africa has struggled when it comes to governance. When money gets to our national associations, it's never a guarantee that this money will get to the grassroots. And therefore, when you talk about governance, that's for me something that we should look at as a matter of priority. We really need to improve the governance of our national football association, of our clubs, and even of our grassroots football communities, as I like to call them, the academies, because it's only by so doing that we'll be able to increase the value of our football ecosystem and present it really as an asset that people can invest in. Otherwise, Africa remains stuck in these, development funds that, are poured into the continent, but without really seeing, the growth that we as Africa are capable of. I look at a country like Ghana. I've admired Ghana for the longest time, for the days when we had Anthony Yeboah, Abedi Pele, and now there's the Kudus who have come up, Nuama and all this. But something has been lost along the way. I no longer hear about Asante Kotoko in Kenya. I no longer hear about Hearts of Oak in Kenya, because the club ecosystem in Ghana has kind of regressed, even as Ghana has continued to produce world stars. So this really is the challenge we have, and I'm really happy you've brought up the issue of governance initially. We really need to work on the governance systems, on the governance strength of our football organizations, in order for us to benefit from this money that FIFA is generating, and even more important, for us to be able to bring in more money, especially from the local setups. Our corporates, long-term investors, they need to find strong enough structures for them to invest in, for us to really create a viable football economy in Africa.
Amazing stuff. And you've raised some very important points. And these points are things that we've been drumming home for a very long time. Because like you said, there were days when some of these clubs, Kotoko, you'd hear of them on the African continent, TP Mazembe. In Kenya, you've got your Goma Hares and all of these ones. And these were not just sources of pride, but then again, they were insignias of African football and where it was going. The North Africans have done it pretty well with their teams, but we haven't. But then a lot of people also say, Ellie, that we need to have a customized governance structure for our football, because what we have used and emulated over the years has not worked. Is that something you agree with?
Well, it worked to a point where the system or the structure, or even let's say the football, has evolved from where we were actually operating from. So when we hit a snag and we were not able to actually keep up to the modern trends of administering or actually developing football, we got stuck. And those who are actually investing more and taking football as a proper entity of business have progressed and left us behind. So Brian made mention of the fact that investment was important, and also if the money's coming, it's not well administered at the local level or grassroots level. So an FA or a football federation will get maybe $11 million from FIFA for projects or development of football and stuff like that, and they end up using the money for wrong things. Some will say, okay, well, we need water to water our pitches, so let's build a borehole system to water our grass. But you forget that while you're watering the grass, the grass also needs to be well kept. So aside providing water for the grass, what are you also doing to make sure that the grass is well kept all the time and well leveled, and the field is smooth enough for the players to have proper playing surface to develop their football? So it's not just about doing partial development, but it has to be holistic. So now when you talk about holistic, there has to be a proper planning. Now let's make reference to a country like Germany. Germany decided, okay, well, before the 2006 World Cup, we want to host the World Cup. We want to host the World Cup in our country. And based on hosting the World Cup, we actually have a progressive plan that in the next 10 years, we can win the World Cup out of that. So they started and they hosted the World Cup. They did not win, but the goal was that we have to win the World Cup within a 10-year period. Even as of the 8th year, they made that happen in 2014 when they won the World Cup. And they had a plan where they got the various clubs in the country to develop in sports science. So it's a team like Borussia Dortmund invested in a software, I'll say, or a technology where they called Football Now, like a football house, but in German they put it Football Now. Now this system had a small room, like a room, let's say like the studio here, where there were goal posts across the room, throughout the room, and the goal post was able to release a ball, or it could come from the top. The ball comes to the player very fast. Now, it was measured or monitored by the coach's wristwatch. And this watch is able to monitor the speed that the ball comes and how well the player is able to control the ball and quickly release it into the small goal post. Now, this system is used to control the player's focus and intelligence, and how accurate they can pass balls to, because once the ball comes to you, one of the goalposts will beam a green light for you to pass into. So you have to stay focused and watch out which green post is waiting for you to pass the ball into. Now, this software is a typical example of how Mario Götze scored that 2014 World Cup goal against Argentina. When the corner was crossed, quickly chested the ball with his chest, and then with his left foot, quickly shot into the net. And that is how the technology works. The ball comes to you, you control it and quickly pass it out. And so with these investments from these clubs, they were able to get something from individual players who were nurtured and ended up winning a World Cup. Now, we also had a plan back then where we were doing this our grassroots, promoting young boys, getting them into national team exposures. And I think then our under-17s were doing very well. Ghana won a lot of under-17 tournaments, under-20 as well, Nigeria and the likes. Now, once we're doing well at grassroots level, it was easy for us to progress these young ones and get a feeder team for our national team. And eventually, we even won AFCONs, at least 4, and it went to the World Cup a lot of times. But the question is, how well have we evolved with the science aspect? Because it's not just about the talent. You can have the talent, but if it's not well groomed and nurtured, you cannot get the best out of them to compete. The Europeans do not have exceptionally skillful players like we have here in Africa, but they are using the science to actually trim these raw players and get them to be very efficient. And once you're efficient, you get the results. So once we're getting the monies, it has to be well measured with the planning that we're doing. Let's draw a plan, a long-term plan. Or we want to do a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. And the progress is that once we are getting some money from FIFA or even from government, we are drawing a plan that is helping us groom young boys, and with the hope that within the next 5 years or 10 years, these young crop of players are going to be representing at various national team levels. You compare Europe, for instance. Anytime there's an international break where the national teams are assembled, they also make room for young players.
So they play under 19s,
under 15, from under 15, under 17, under 19s, under 20s and 21s. Now, all of these groups are exposed to other international tournaments. So they have these Euros under 17s that are going on, tournaments are going on under 20s. So the England Saka and the likes were representing the English youth levels throughout, and they were very consistent. So those group of players have played together for a long time, and they know how to bond and have a chemistry among themselves. So once you graduate that group into the senior national team, that consistency and chemistry is already there, and they can deliver for you. And a typical example is the Spanish national team now. The coach De La Fuente worked with almost half or more of the players that won the World Cup now, the likes of...
From under 15, so I'm going to go through. So so he won Euro under 19, right? Then he won Euro under 21. Then he won the Euros in 2024, and he won in 2026. Now, a few of the players were core to his teams across the levels. So Mikel Merino, Rodri, Oyarzabal, Fabian Ruiz, each made, 3 title-winning appearances across the board for him. I mean, if you go across that team as well, in 2019, when he won the under-21, he coached Dani Olmo, Fabian Ruiz, Michael Oyarzabal, Unai Simon, Mikel Merino, and Ferran Torres.
Yeah.
That's when he won the under-21s. And these are the core of the team. They form the spine of the team that won it. Then in 2020, he coached the Spanish team to silver in the Tokyo Olympics. Now, that team had Zubimendi, Cucurella, Pau Torres, Eric Garcia, and Pedri. So he added that to his score. Yeah. And then these two formed the major foundation of his team. So it's not rocket science that he gets them to play a certain way.
Exactly.
Because there's planning. But key thing is those investment.
Thank you. Now, so, also to add up to De La Fuente himself, he was just not somebody who was just lurking around the FA or something. There's a guy who has been a FIFA or a UEFA instructor. So he trained coaches. So he's coached Villarreal before, but then he did not go that high in terms of club coaching. He was held into the FA and was offering coaching courses.
Yeah, he's the one who trained Scaloni.
Scaloni, yeah. So Scaloni was one of the students who participated in that Spanish, that Spanish coaching courses. So Alonso, you mentioned Xavi himself, and this guy who coaches Liverpool now was with Bournemouth before, and coaching Liverpool.
What's his name? Andoni Raiola. And even the current Spanish female senior national team coach was a student.
So he's an instructor, so a coaching instructor. Now, so if you're investing into the coaching space and you're also investing into the grassroots of developing young footballers, you are in turn going to have two different aspects of grooming your footballers and your coaching system to give you the results you want. So once the coaches were well prepared, now you come to us, you say, CAF has instituted a training course for the various FAs. Now, if the CAF has, let's say the FA, is Ghana Football Association, train or giving you license to train coaches for CAF license B. Now, how does that go? You have license B group of coaches that you have actually given courses to. The next thing is, how are you preparing them for the job on the field? Which group of players are you assigning them to? Which age levels are you assigning them to? We need to empower the coaches. So it's not just about giving them certificates, but it's about exposing them to the work, and all boils down to planning. So if there's no proper documentation of plan that, okay, this is what we're going to execute. Now, after you have a plan, you can now go for the funding. Okay, we have a plan for a 10-year project, but we need maybe 10 million or 5 million to be able to execute this plan. Then now you can present a proposal and get funding for it. But you just don't get up and say, okay, well, we want to do this, and it's not happening. And that's why Africa is retrogressing. There has to be something to show for it. And once you have the blueprints and the pathway, then you can now argue that we don't have money to grow our sports.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're speaking to something I've been trying to address for the last 8 years that I've been running the Football Foundation for Africa. Really, for Africa, the challenge is to lay out that long-term plan, because we are tied in tournament cycles. You know, you have to qualify for AFCON, you have to qualify for World Cup, and our focus is on these so much that we forget to build something long-term. And that's why I'm pushing for a change in mindset in how we invest in football. And I've come up with a concept that is called, football as infrastructure. We need to view football as infrastructure, so that we see football as, a platform that is delivering education for our young people, it's delivering health, it's delivering employment, it's a platform for innovation. You've mentioned what they're doing in Germany. It's a platform for social cohesion. You see, by repositioning sports or football as infrastructure, then we start to ask different kind of questions. It's no longer just about, sporting performance. It's these other outcomes, and sporting performance becomes one outcome, and it will always be the strongest outcome if you invest well. This means our governments will be the primary investors in the development of football. And once government, we know how Africa works, once government commits, the private sector comes in, and investors have more confidence, and they can commit their capital for a long term, so that we can be able to achieve these kind of things that my friend Eli is talking about. And it's interesting when you mention, the success of Spain and how, this coach has been able to move with these players for a long time. I think for them, they've already understood the long-term gains of football. Yeah. And they're not just investing in qualifying or winning for the next World Cup. They sit down. I think you mentioned Germany again, after I think their disappointment in the World Cup in which year?
2006.
2006. They sit back and they create an 8-year plan. And they have a crop of coaches and a crop of players that they work with over time. And you can see they're able to track, this is where we went wrong, and this way, even if they had not won the World Cup in 2014, they would have known where to correct. Yeah. And you can be sure Germany will probably get to the semis or the final in the next World Cup or the World Cup that will follow, because they go back to the drawing board and they look at the long-term effect, and they look at how that also impacts their own ecosystem, their club level. How does that integrate? And that's something Africa has not managed to do well. And I'm not blaming, for example, our administrators or all that, but it's just that we have not been allowed that time to sit back and say, okay, this is how we want to develop African football. We don't have to do it the European way. We don't have to do it the American way. We can come up with an African way. If you look at the US and the big money they have made with the World Cup, it's because the US are very good on fan engagement and commercialization. For the first time we were treated to a halftime show. I was looking at this and I'm like, what is all this? I want football analysis at halftime. I don't want this. But for them, they understand the commercial value of doing that. You look at Europe,
and the hydration breaks.
And the hydration breaks. All that was about money and commercialization. You look at Europe. Europe are very good at governance and club development. Even those, systems within clubs where players are able to be developed. You get into a club at the age of 8, 7, and you're living at 19, 20 if you don't make it to that club. And there's options for you. Africa does not have that kind of structure yet. Most of our clubs here cannot even support youth development system simply because they don't have the capital. So we need to reposition football and sports on the continent so that it serves as infrastructure to achieve broader societal gains. And this means we can talk to international development partners, we can talk to our government, private sector, beyond just coming in as sponsors they should come in as partners in the development of the game. Some of our corporates are making billions of dollars. You know, they don't, but the money they put into football or sport is usually like a token. And as soon as there's signs of, you know, ROI not getting to where they pull off. We cannot develop under this. So we need to tie them into long-term, you know, arrangements, private public partnerships, and see how we can, you know, even recalibrate how we measure the progress of football on the continent. Because you can come up with so many KPIs as opposed to just saying, okay, we didn't qualify for AFCON, so we have failed. We didn't qualify for the World Cup, so we have failed. That's not the case. Ghana was not at the AFCON this year, but they were at the World Cup. How do you compare those two? We need different metrics that are more stable over a long-term period for us to develop football sustainably on the continent.
Amazing stuff.
Kosi,
yes.
Brian made mention of companies that are making money and they are not putting enough into sports. Let me give you an example. Red Bull in Austria, they are making a lot of money across the globe, not just in Austria, across the globe. But they know that sports is a good avenue where they can continue to promote themselves and make multiple money from what they have. So in Red Bull, in Austria, for instance, they have a football club, Salzburg, that they are pushing a lot of money into. And we saw Rafnik, when he was out of job, he was a technical director at Red Bull. Klopp, when he was out of job, he was a technical director. And they have a plan that they go, this is what we want to do. And that's why they bring these guys in with vast knowledge to execute those long-term plans and continuity purposes. Now, outside of Austria, they're also investing into lots of football clubs in sports. You go to America, Red Bull is all over in terms of even in Formula One and the likes, aside football. Now, you come to Germany, they have teams, RB Leipzig, is also Salzburg sponsored, and they are doing that across. Even in Ghana, they at the point where we're working with Wafa. Yeah. So they are spreading their wings in terms of revenue they are generating, just to make sure that they are getting into the sporting fraternity where they can generate more young talents who can in turn bring them back benefits. Because once their brand is out there, they know that football is one of the most popular sports. So if we put money back into the sport, it helps us generate more revenue, and there's continuity with our business. Now, let's go to Germany once again. Frankfurt is like one of the capital in Germany, business city. Now, Frankfurt Football Club was first, the stadium was first named as Commerzbank. So Commerzbank is a bank in Germany. They were sponsoring the club and their name was on the stadium. Now, once the contract expired, another bank, that's the country's bank, Dutch bank, like the Dutch Post. So Dutch bank came on board and said, okay, we want to offer more money. So now put our name on the stadium. And now once that deal is signed, in return, the bank is putting a lot of money into the club to sustain the club and run the club. Now, if there's no proper investment, how do these clubs also survive? And now we come back to the country, the companies in our country here in Ghana. I think at the point we heard about Goldfields doing a lot of work with the Black Stars and all that, but the Black Stars is just one entity. How about the other football clubs? How then do you promote these young? How do you feed the Black Stars if you are not promoting or sponsoring the other clubs that are supposed to be feeding the Black Stars? For the first time ever, we have one player who starts a game for the Black Stars from the local league. But if the companies who are making money out of us here are not able to sponsor the clubs and help the clubs to be sustainable and be able to raise teams that can compete in Africa, then what is the essence of doing business here? Because if they go out there to compete in Africa, Champions League and all that, your sponsorship association with them also takes you internationally and gives you more mileage. So we need to also understand that the companies around need to also find a way of associating with our sports, sponsoring and empowering these clubs so that in return we can grow together. But if you sit back and say, okay, well, I'm doing business and I don't see the essence of getting into sports, there's a lot of benefits to it. Other companies out there doing it. So let's take a clue and find a way of attaching our companies to help develop these clubs.
Amazing stuff. Let's stick to the governance a bit, and we'll come to your Football Foundation of Africa. I think I like the concept and what you're doing with it. People talk about the fact that the synergy between governments and football administrators is nearly non-existent, right? And the football administrators like the fact that it's non-existent because they ride on certain regulations to ensure that it slips into oblivion. For example, FIFA strictly prohibits any form of government or political interference in the governance of football. Now, under FIFA statutes, national football associations must operate as autonomous entities, entirely free from control, influence or dictates of third parties, including state authorities, ministries of sports, and civil courts. Now, Article 14 and 19 requires all member associations to manage their affairs independently with no influence from third parties. Article 15C mandates that the statutes of national associations must explicitly state their total independence and lay out measures to avoid political interference. Article 22 also explicitly outlaws government interference in the electoral processes or the composition of a football association's elective body. State laws regarding elections cannot override internal football association regulations. I mean, these are crevices, or they are developing into complete gaps that are seeing our football dwindle, perhaps not.
I think this is very interesting, and I'll start by saying a lot of these statutes are outdated. They're very historic in the way they were formed, and the reasons which were formed. We can delve into that, but just to paint the framework, this is based on the principle of autonomy of sports. That's what they were looking to achieve. But that was when sports was very amateur in nature. It was only about competition on the pitch or on the track, and they did not want external influence in the results of sports, because when it comes to football, athletics, or whatever competition, it's supposed to be fair play. But now sports has become very commercial. There needs to be government oversight in our sports ecosystem, and in Africa, especially football. But because of the amount of money that an organization like FIFA pours into the continent and into the national associations, they would like as much as possible to protect that which I call a monopoly of football. And that is one of the things that African governments, even up to the African Union level, should start looking at, because sports is such an important part of our society and who we are, for us to just leave it to external players to determine how we regulate, football in this case. So that's why I'm saying, even in this football as infrastructure framework, when government becomes a primary investor, they also have to ensure, or they'll make sure, that the money that they're investing in the space is well managed, and that's why they have to have an oversight.
But the regulations seem to restrict them. I mean,
so you see, regulations were drawn up by someone, and it's high time Africa came together, and that's why we'll come to the Africa Football Business Summit later. It's to create a platform where we can, decide or discuss and say, okay, this is how we want to govern football in Africa, or these are the innovative model of governance that we want to come up with in Africa that will ensure we grow. For example, how do you take a private sector player and make them have a stake in the running of the football so that they can take care of their interest therein, as opposed to just we get money and we use it the way we want, because that's how our federations are operating at the moment. It's because FIFA is, facilitating this. And it's not wrong. I'm just saying the model is outdated. It was designed in the early 20th century when football was just about, two teams, and, the pride was just in the win or the lose. But now there's billions of dollars that are moving across the ecosystem. And you look at what happened in the US, it's contradictory. Because a government official, and I will not name him, simply made FIFA suspend a red card.
Yeah, there was actually an article, and there were a lot of outroars with regards to that. Donald Trump. Obviously, and there was a big article by Andy Merhead, who says FIFA's rules on political interference and why the USA must be disqualified, and Infantino's stripped of presidency. They went to that extent.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of, that is what I'll call undue interference. That is wrong in itself, but it was allowed.
Yeah.
But now when it comes to regulation, we see things such as corruption, embezzlement of funds in our national association, or safeguarding issues in our national associations. These are areas where our government should be very involved. Therefore, FIFA should revise their regulations. Of course, we have to go to the table and discuss and say, this needs to change for this and this reason. It's just not a matter of saying, change this, change that. It has to be discussed, and we have to create platforms where this is discussed. If you follow the conversations that have been happening as well, the Council of Europe has been very vocal when it comes to what has happened in the US, Canada, and Mexico. But where is the African Union, for example, when a qualified referee has been invited to a tournament, he's turned away at the airport? And the African Union makes no comment.
They're boots licking, they're busy.
Exactly. Those are some of the things that make us think we are not taking football and sports serious enough for it to warrant the attention that it needs to develop it into a viable economic sector. And that needs to change, and change urgently.
Ali, your take on this one?
Yeah, I think that just as Brian said, the law is a problem. I think gone are the days where we wanted continuity with regards to sports. Once there's no political interference, because those days there were a lot of political unrest. So a political party could take over and say, I don't want you to be in charge of our football or our sports, so I want a political appointment. And that also destabilized the continuity and the long-term plan of FIFA and growing sports or football in the various countries. But most of the countries are stabilized now. So then once football has gone commercial and people's monies are involved into the growth of football, we need to have proper accountability. And that is why you need to have the right people in there. And so when I see this law, these statutes are actually affecting the growth of football in Africa, I am right. Let me use a typical example. I always want to back my argument with practicals. Morocco. We've all seen how their football has grown and is yielding results. Now, they appointed one man, and this man was not appointed by, or was not voted by the Football Federation in Morocco.
I would say the football people.
Football people, exactly. It was the government, the king, King Mohammed the fourth, who says, okay, I want somebody to invest or help our football develop. And he went for no other person but the then Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of the budget. So more like the finance minister. And he says, I'm calling you the finance minister. And this is the person we all know as Legja, Fawzi Legja. He says, okay, well, Legja, you are a finance person, all right, but you've worked with CAF before in the past. So because of your sports background and your financial background, I want you to lead our sports. And they appointed him. So it was a government appointee. And this man, because he was a government appointee, it was easier for him to partner with the government and find a way of raising enough funding to develop the sport. And there was a long-term plan. And because he is the one in charge, the long-term plan has been drawn, and he's getting the backing of the government who appointed him to have enough funding into it. And the long-term plan has yielded results. Gone are the days where the Moroccan female football team or women's national team was nothing to write home about. But they organized a series of friendly matches with the best teams on the continent. Ghana, Nigeria, almost every time you see Ghana and Morocco are playing a friendly football game, women's team, and gradually they were exposing their women to the best. And for now, they've won club competitions. They are in the finals of the women's AFCON. They are doing very well, competing at the highest level with women's football now. Similar to the men's team from the local young graduates or young football teams. They've won the under-17 AFCON. They've won under-20 World Cup. They've even gone on to win the under-20 World Cup, joined with Ghana as the only African teams to have won the World Under-20 World Cup. They've won the under-23 AFCON, and they've gone on to the World Cup as the only African team to be in the semi-finals of the World Cup. So once you have a government person in there and there's proper collaboration and the funding is secured, whatever plan you have, once it's feasible, you get the results. So these laws about not having government interference is government who is putting money into the sports.
When they want to pay their national team coaches, they go to government.
Government, exactly.
Stadiums.
Yeah,
it's government. Government builds the stadium. Ghana here, we don't even have a proper stadium recognized by CAF till now. But if government says, okay, we want us to have a stadium, it's government who's going to fund it. And when we're going for the World Cup, government gave us a budget to go to the World Cup with. So if there's not that chemistry or cohesion between the government and the sports federations, how do we grow? And talk about this Moroccan federation. They have the sports complex that they built in 2000 2017. Now, when Legja was appointed in 2017, he was the one who oversaw the management and the building of the Mohammed IV football complex. Now, that football complex is just like the St. George's that the English national team has, their sports complex. And currently, even teams from Europe come and lease that space to prepare the national teams for tournaments. So
even top clubs come.
Top clubs, yes. So if there is no proper structure and investment, how do we realize this kind of infrastructure for our sports and the growth and the result that is coming in? So there has to be that collaboration. Government must be able to have a say. After all, it's our tax money that is being put into it. So there must be that accountability and proper progress and planning. We have to get a way around that law.
But the football people are standing in the way because they are benefiting from the system. and it's seeing our football completely retrogress. I mean, what should we do? Should we bamboozle our way through this? Or perhaps we should
I think
advocate. I mean, what should we do?
I think it's a matter of advocacy and educating people around why we are in this state. Even the people within the football themselves, they don't understand why they are at that point. And as long as there is money coming in from FIFA, some people are comfortable because they think this is enough. But when we look at the money we receive from FIFA in terms of development fund, just that's capital for you. You're supposed to grow that. But if you take that as revenue, then you sit back, and as long as you can spend and things are just running the way they're running, a lot of people are comfortable. So we need to enjoy conversations like these for us to get to a point where enough people are actually calling for change. Like, there is an opportunity here. There's a big opportunity. Africa is struggling to absorb its youth demographic into employment, into and sports is one of those areas that can absorb our youth population, aside from just developing us as people. So the more people see the opportunity and the more people come out and start to talk about these things, the sooner we will see change. And that's one of the reasons I created the Africa Football Business Summit, because I looked around and say, there is no open platform where people can just come and discuss. You don't even have to be a football person. You just have an idea, a business idea. Football people also, we tend just to talk among football people. And I'll say, hey, we need to change this. I need to talk to somebody who is even an architect in a different, or a businessman who, when I go to him for money, he will ask me, what's my return? But if we're just among football people, it will always be about scores. Who won,
and 3 points.
Who lost, who injured, who is transferring where. And we don't take time to understand where the returns, what needs to change in terms of governance. So these conversations need to be had more and more. We need to educate our people around the business of sports, the business of football. The more people understand what is happening, the sooner the change will come. Because we also realize these autonomy of sports, where the business has been majorly controlled, in the developed sports world, that's the World Cup. It has meant we have not even taken time to develop sports management knowledge in our own continent. How many universities in Ghana, for example, can offer a postgrad qualification in sports?
When I was doing my second postgraduate degree at the University of Ghana, there was actually a course in sports. There was an elective in sports development or sports management or something. And you had to choose between that and political marketing. It was sports marketing strategy. So you had to choose between that and political marketing strategy. And there was 2 of us in that class, and everybody else was in political marketing. Everybody else was in political marketing strategy. And those 2, one left, and it was... But anyway, Abigail Sanas also has joined us in the studios. Abigail is our biggest advocate for women's football
development.
Yeah, women's football development. Arguably one of the best commentators in the land. You're looking nice, by the way. I like the top.
The question is, where's she from?
Yes, Abigail.
So I'm from Nguvu Mining. Yeah, they extended a helping hand to clubs in the regions they are mining in, i.e. Ashanti region and Western region. And it happened to be that one of our women's football club were included. That's Hazakis Ladies.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so I was there to see to what they were helping them with. And I think I have a replica of what they gave them. The person who designed the ball for the World Cup did, I think, maybe a replica for Nguvu.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So Vision Mission, that is what they gave to the clubs. So I Kumasi Asante Koroko, for Ashanti region. But Seke only stars in the Western. Already Nguvu is with Mediama. So
and they were with Hokwe United as well, weren't they?
I know of Mediama SC.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I think they had something to do with Hokwe United at a point.
At a point,
Yeah.
okay. So Hazaka's ladies got roped in because, of course, in the Western region, you can't talk about women's football and leave Hazaka's out. So I was there to witness it. That was why I caught David Obenya.
I mean, so I mean, it's just in line.
It falls in line with what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's just in line with what we're
Yeah.
talking about. And I want us to look at women's football.
Yeah.
Women's football has a lot of potential, massive potential.
Yeah.
And there was a point when Ghana and Nigeria were the big giants of women's football in Ghana. But then again, people say, listen, we've not explored the commercial side of women's football because we've not developed the sport. But then we're having people like Nguvu coming on board.
Yeah.
Has it perhaps been because of a lack of investment from corporate bodies or a lack of investment from the Football Association or the fact that we've not prioritized it as much as we should?
Well, I always say this. I think that we began with women's football at a point where we didn't think we were going to pay attention to it. It started as a fun thing or because boys are doing it and a couple of girls also want to do it. Because if you look at how Abibata started Fabulous Ladies, it wasn't something she was going in there to make money out of. Other than that, I can tell she's one of the richest women in this country because more than half of the ladies who have applied this trade and are still applying at least passed through her. But we all didn't start with it because the mentality is toward the end, with a woman play football. She'll go and give birth. She'll get married, stay in the kitchen. You know, we had that. Now they can't run away from it.
The primitive sexist.
So when we got to the point where we thought, that, okay, something can really come out of women's football. A lot of the countries had gone ahead of us. But like you're saying, it's good to have Nguvu do this. They realized that, okay, we are in Western region, we are working there, at least they are getting something off of the people there. And football is one thing that brings everybody together. And it's also good to know that Dr. Tony Obeng is part of them. So he understands what football needs as well. And so when we get companies like this doing this, I want to say what is football, but if you go to some of these clubs, they are training grounds and see the facilities and what they use, that's when you appreciate that if somebody gives you even 10 footballs as a club, the person has really helped you.
I mean, I had an interview with Blessing Shine Agbomaji a few years ago, and I asked her what her biggest regret was, and she said her biggest regret was the fact that she knows a lot of people in Yeji who are better than her who didn't make it. Because there was no pathway, and because their parents didn't understand the opportunities that football provided. What kind of opportunities does football provide now on the commercial side of things for women?
A lot, a lot, and I think that we will want to talk about. Let me just use this as a realist. Somebody who has played, gone on to be a coach. And now, arguably, if we are looking for the faces of women's football on the continent, you can't go past her. Because she is the one that has delivered South Africa's first trophy. So you understand that if the path is made clear for you that, okay, I know I play to a point, I would want to coach at a point in time. I've even gone too far with my very own Messi Tego Kwaku. What hasn't
Raymond's friend. Shout out to Raymond.
They are the best of friends now. What hasn't she done? She's played the first woman referee for our Premier League, coach, both the men and the women. And I'm proud to say as CAF, she's an instructor's instructor. Now, if you are looking for 2 instructors from CAF to carry on sessions for referees or oversee major tournaments, you can't go past her. Every other CAF tournament, she's there as an instructor to oversee all the referees that come from your North Africans and wherever. That is the level and that is the opportunity it gives you. And so she, for one, is one person who is trying to imbibe that level of knowledge in any other group of people she gets to manage. She will tell you that decide now, and I can even mention Stella Nyamiche. She's still playing, but she has a license D, and so whenever she has the time to continue, she knows what she wants to do. And it will get to a time maybe Messi cannot coach or handle some of these things. She could continue from where Messi have left her, because if she's on that path of being a coach one day, definitely means she can do other things. And I feel that the exposure we've had now is great. Hitherto, some 5-10 years ago, when you are talking about women's footballers who are going out there, you can only hear one person in a very long time. Then it started with Presley Dubia, Grace Asanto having the opportunity to go to Spain at a point in time. Presley was playing the same league with Masters Oshola when she was at Barcelona and all of that. So I think that we need to look beyond the fact that there are girls playing the sport. And I feel that if you put our ladies out there, it does work a lot. I'm happy with the example you made with Shine. Now, Shine can stand out as an ambassador for the Women's Premier League because, one, she speaks so well. She plays so well. And she's one of the few footballers you see dressed extremely feminine.
I remember when she turned up for that interview. I was like, is there an after party?
No.
Like, nah,
That's just
so she showed me her social media.
Yes.
And I was like,
you'll be surprised.
wow.
She's a footballer who loves heels. You know? So even if you are looking for someone to even be a model or be a face of a brand, you can still use people like her. Not to take anything away from the others. There are others that do dress that way as well, but at least she is the one that has put it out there for all of us to see. We do appreciate some of these things. And I know Epiphany Warriors, when they started, they brought some ladies on board. There's some in there who were hairdressers, who were barbers. There's a girl who, if she decides to sit all her colleagues down and get them some good haircuts, you'll be surprised the lady that did that. And so I feel that there's a lot of avenues it opens us up to. And the interesting thing is the fact that you are a girl, when you get to do certain things, you get a certain level of looking and we pay attention to, i.e. our job that we do. I sit down for interviews and the first question always, how am I surviving in this job that
tell them I'm here.
Leave me alone. That is marked as an avenue, an area dominated by men or for men. So the minute you're a woman and you show up, it gives you a certain level of respect. And if the job does go well, that's also a plus for you. So I feel there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of avenue for us away from the game. You get to see all of them having some of these ambassadorial deals and all of that. Cynthia Fendip has also become a very good ambassador for a lot of the young goalkeepers. For a lady married and still going in there, you get her husband present every other time she's playing. So we are trying to demystify that thought that football ends with marriage. Football ends with giving birth. Fidelis has 2 kids and still plays. So there are lots of examples that if we go in there to explore, we realize that for a woman, it's not just ending when you decide to, have a baby or get married. There are lots of things that if we decide to pay attention to the women's game, we will get. And I think that whenever I sit down, I always at least want to give the FA their respect when it's due. Because when it comes to women's football, come on. We have seen a lot of improvement because there are lots of people in there who were following the women's game and understood it and loved it even before getting to positions, and they've not let it go and they have improved. We've come from places where it was just scratch cards girls get after playing football, to a point where they have Malcolm vouchers to at least shop for themselves for the season, get transportation, get support from individuals who will provide them with sanitaries and pads and all of those things. So I think that we got the wind of having a better side of women game a little late, but it's better late than never, and the girls are going in and out. And now you look at our Black Queen squad, and 99% are also out
foreign based players.
Yes, out there.
They are bringing something home.
In the end, if Mariam Ponsa goes to China and is able to come back home to Seshi and build a 3-bedroom mansion for her parents, come on, what again? At least set her parents up. It's all for the better. Comfortable goes out there, gets back to her people in Sunyani and its environs, and then able to do something for them. It helps us.
It means you'll encourage more girls.
Of course, it takes a certain bedding off of a mother who is looking after the other siblings and all of that. So I feel that we will get there if we continue in the life that we are going. It's getting better. I think
Kosi.
so.
Yes.
Abigail has said a lot to inspire women and empower women who will be interested in sports. But she did not also reiterate the fact that sports has also benefited her a lot. Made her very rich and empowered in a good position. Because over the years...
just tell the truth.
You use yourself as an example to inspire the women.
I'm money to travel. Don't come
Please,
and do.
she uses her iPhone 17.
iPhone 17, the latest one.
She just came
She's
back.
traveling
She just
across the
came back
world
from
from the
America.
US. And so sports has also
Empowered her. Maybe
I thought I did use myself as an example.
No, you only spoke about the fact that when you go to places, they ask you, how are you surviving?
she's paid very well.
Yes. Making good money, traveling across the world, and looking very beautiful over the years. I'll show you a picture of myself and her when I was back in ETV. She was you see the difference, how she started changes. And how she's so much wealthy now because of football.
Anyway,
why are you doing this to me? I need to travel. Don't come and block my destiny helpers. I beg you.
So shout out to Abigail Sanasusu. But Brian is still here. Brian, Football Foundation for Africa. You spoke about the fact that you wanted to see football as infrastructure and a whole lot, and I'm sure it's all encompassed and includes all of these things we've spoken about. Because Abigail, in a nutshell, gave us a pathway of development and how that led to economic empowerment as well, which I believe is key to what you do as well. So tell us a bit about the Football Foundation for Africa.
And it's a pleasure to meet you, Abigail, and it's really amazing.
She's a very rich woman.
Kosi, I need money. Stop that. You give me to blocking my destiny helpers. What is that?
You know, Abigail is my woman crush every day.
Can you really imagine?
I'm sure we'll exchange more. But when she speaks a lot to what I've recently developed when you think of football as infrastructure, because she mentions as the skills that these ladies have, the opportunities that they have been able to access, through football. And this is why we should invest in football, because of this. Not that all of them will make it to the top or become professional, but it's that kind of opportunities that it has given a lot of girls that we need to invest in. And that's why government becomes a primary investor in this, because the government's agenda is not about developing football per se or developing footballers. It's about creating for its people, creating for its young women and other youths. So it really speaks to the football as an infrastructure and what we are trying to do at the Football Foundation for Africa. Just to take you back a bit, I started the Football Foundation for Africa with the sole intention of driving more investment into grassroots football. Because from my experience playing, and I was also privileged to...
Oh, you used to play yourself?
Yes.
Professionally?
Not professionally. I played until the second tier in Kenya, which was still not
that's like second division sort of
thing. Like second division. And then I had the privilege of living abroad, where I also played actively in the amateur ranks, but not played. So observing these two ecosystems, I looked at Africa and the challenge is that we are not getting enough money into grassroots football. So I said, I'm going to create a vehicle that people can direct investments directly into grassroots football. And it was quite a journey. Initially, I was organizing tournaments for young people and teaming them, tackling unemployment through sports, because I felt by bringing these young people together, I can bring corporates, especially, closer to them, not just to watch football or to scout for talent, but also to expose these young people to the kind of environment the corporate life is. Because as a footballer, sometimes you can live in a very closed mind that I want to go abroad, I want to play football. But look, you could be talented in other things, and these opportunities are sitting around you. So it was with this mindset that I set up the Football Foundation for Africa. And then things developed, and during COVID, because my whole strategy around tournaments was blocked, I started to organize the Africa Football Business Show. So interviewing different professionals from around the world on the business side of things, not focusing on the on-pitch stuff. And that's really what propelled the Football Foundation for Africa for what it is now. And it was from this that then I realized, there's so many people out there with knowledge about African football and African sports and how it needs to be done, but they don't have a platform where they come together and create an agenda or network. And that gave me the idea of starting the Africa Football Business Summit. And now we are on our fifth edition, and I'm really proud and happy.
Amazing. So we've missed 4 editions, early.
Yeah,
can you take us back in a time machine to the very first edition? Where did you hold the first 4?
In Kenya. So
all 4 have been in Kenya.
All 4 have been in Kenya. So the first 3 were in Nairobi, and then last year we were in Mombasa.
Okay.
And I had the privilege of hosting your Minister of Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Adam. Enough respect to the gentleman. I think he's good for Ghanaian sports and African sports. So he came to Mombasa, and that's why I'm even here for this year. So it's been a good experience. Very challenging to put this kind of event together because of the lack of appreciation of sports really as a business. And we've created a lot. And last year, towards the end of last year, is when I was really struggling. How come corporates are not putting money into football? They should be putting money into football because it's important. And
is it perhaps because they don't see that?
Somebody said corporates will not invest out of pity because they love. That's when I said no. Football has to be repositioned, and that's why I came up with the concept of football as infrastructure because it's critical to how, especially the African continent, operates. You look at something like the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which is hosted here in Accra. How much have they leveraged sports to drive their integration agenda?
I don't think they know how much sports contributes to the GDP of the independent nations. Do you know how much it contributes to the Kenyan GDP?
We don't have those kind of data.
That's
I can tell you now they're saying the African sports industry is worth like $12 billion with the potential to grow to $20 billion by 2035. But if you start to look at the individual country and even footballers, you don't see the data. And at some point I was telling
that's an indictment on us. That's a sacrilege.
Yeah, we need to sit down somewhere and say, okay, how what's the worth of these things? Even if we are going to grow it, we are growing it from what point to what point? Because we need a starting point. We need a baseline for us to grow. And that will only happen if we start to appreciate football, sports as infrastructure. Otherwise, if we leave it as entertainment, investment will be sporadic. A corporate comes in for 2 years, something happens, they pull out. There's a lot of, charity also in the space. Even from where I sit, I receive a lot of requests. Bring us equipment, bring us this. Yes, these communities need equipment. But how are they asking for that equipment and not value are they delivering to society? That is what we need to start measuring as well. How is it contributing to our health? How is it contributing to, our education? So many people have accessed scholarships both locally and internationally through football and sports. Are we quantifying that and saying this is what we are delivering as an industry and this is why we need more investment? Employment. How many people are gainfully employed within the football or sports ecosystem? How many volunteers are there, and how can we position them for paid work? Once we start to understand and quantify this, then we'll be able to get the right kind of investment, both from local players and also from foreign direct investment.
Amazing stuff. And for all of these things, they are very encouraging because, like you said, we need to have a starting point. And perhaps this should be the starting point because conversations like these would stoke the fire that would engulf all of us and give us the transformation that we require. So I'm sure the African Football Business Summit has a vision. What's the major vision of the summit?
This summit is, for me, it's very pivotal. And that's part of the other reason I love Ghana. A lot of my work has also been informed or inspired by Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah. And if you look at the history of football, he already had ideas such as sports diplomacy way before people start talking about it.
When you have an opportunity, jump on our Spotify account. Yeah. There's a feature there by one of my colleagues, Yao Fusulabi. It's called Nkrumah's Own Team. It's about the Real Republicans. It's a beautiful story. You should listen to it.
Yeah, I've listened to it, and I've listened to their story. I know their story. Yeah. But if you look at what Nkrumah was trying to do, he already understood the value of football back then, and he knew how he wanted to use it. And something strange, in 1966, Nkrumah and the director of sports then in Ghana and the CAF led the boycott of Africa of the World Cup because then we were forced to share our slot with Asia and Oceania. But Nkrumah stood back and said, no, if this is the case, we will not participate. We need our own slot. That was 1966. In 1970, FIFA moved and they guaranteed Africa a slot, and that's a slot that was taken up by Morocco. This year is 2026, another World Cup year, 60 years later. Then Nkrumah was fighting for representation in the African. Now we need to fight for value. And that's why the theme of this year's Africa Football Business Summit is From Vision to Value, Building a Sustainable Football Economy in Africa.
You're going to go through that again, from vision to value.
From vision to value, because Nkrumah had the vision, and that has been realized. We now had 10 teams participating in this year's World Cup from Africa. But what value do they bring back to the continent in comparison to the money that we are talking about, the $13 billion that was made? How much of it made its way back to Africa? And how much is Africa contributing, to the global football? We have our talents gracing European, club competitions. They are there to be watched. But how much of that money is really coming back to Africa to help us build a sports football economy that we can be proud of as a continent? So that is what the theme of the Africa Football Business Summit 2026 is about. 60 years on, what will we have 60 years from now in Africa? That's really the vision. And like you rightly saying, this, in my view, could be the starting point where we really start to take ownership, agency, when it comes to development of football and sports in Africa.
But who's this fashion for? I mean, who are you expecting to attend the summit?
Government, of course, here I've had the opportunity to engage with the Minister of Sports. I expect him to attend, and through him we can invite other government officials from other continents. I expect my country, Kenya, to participate. We are hosting the next AFCON. So this is a great opportunity for them to come and talk about their preparations and showcase, and invite you guys to come, because the other challenge we have in Africa is that we can't even travel to watch AFCON in different countries because of this restrictive travel and prohibitive cost of. So this needs to change. So governments, the federations, of course, we are in touch with a few. I hope I can meet the GFA president before I leave. We've had Grenada FA president participate in our summit in Nairobi. He will be here in Ghana. We expect the Ghanaian clubs, the owners of Ghana clubs, CEOs to attend, grassroots football ecosystem representatives. I insist it has to be an open platform where conversations are not just about networking and short-term visits, where we can have meaningful conversations that can be developed into projects. So really, the private sector, really this is an appeal or an opportunity to re-engage, to have a new conversation around why you should invest in football. International development space, diplomats. I've had the opportunity of hosting the ambassador of Brazil in Kenya in one of my summits. And these are people who can ignite cross-country collaboration. We are working with Brazil now on a media platform that has been inspired by something that has happened there. This kind of projects can only happen when you bring people together in platforms where they can engage openly.
Amazing stuff. We'll be looking forward to it. But when is this happening?
It will be on the 22nd and the 23rd of October. That's a Thursday and a Friday. But something interesting that I forget to mention is also that we are partnering with a diaspora, Ghanaian diaspora. They're called 54 Kingdoms. They've been working on a documentary on Kwame Nkrumah's role in, building football in Africa. And it is highly likely that they'll premiere this documentary. It's called More Than a Goal. They'll premiere it during the summit at the end. And during that whole week, there will be an exhibition at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park on football themed that we're organizing in partnership with the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park.
I think you should get some of the memorabilia from times gone past and put it there.
Exactly. So that's what they are working on, and I would really hope to make a football week in Ghana. And I think this is really like Ghana is a leader when it comes to Pan-Africanism, and this is again looking at Ghana to lead the next frontier of African football. I think Ghana has what it takes to do that.
That's beautiful. And where is it happening?
It will be at Alisa Hotel here in Ghana. I understand the Black Stars usually
stay there.
They stay there. So those are we are in conversation with them to have the summit there. But this will be confirmed. I'm here for those meetings this week. And next week as well, I should still be around. And confirming partners, and we're still asking for more people to come and make these really a turning point or inflection point when it comes to the development of football in Africa.
So all the corporate bodies that are listening, those that supported us during the World Cup, I know they are listening. The likes of Pepsodent, they said, do the two brush every morning and evening, club beer. Like I said, I'm giving some jerseys today. 1931 jerseys. If the first 5 callers will get free jerseys from me. And Rexona as well, Charlie. They say whether it be game day or not. Everyone needs a partner that they can rely on. Who good day with you and for you. Through thick and thin, through the long days and with the ensemble, through sweat, blood and tears, and through moments when you just know this, my personal person will never let me down. Rexona be your personal person against sweat and body odor. For 72-hour protection, always, every time, and for every moment that matters. Choose Rexona. Choose protection that moves with you. So, Charlie, we call on all our corporate bodies. I mean, come on board the African Football Business Summit because it will be sensational. I mean, I will be there as well. Maybe if I raise my hand and you call me, I'll speak about lots of the things I want to speak about.
You seem like you could be host the whole event.
I'll be more than happy to do it for you.
You're very skilled at that. So
I'll be more than happy to do it for you. So we'll be there. And keep it locked on Sporty FM. I'm sure there'll be a lot of information here. I've elected myself as the ambassador for African Football Business Summit in Ghana. So we're making a lot.
Amazing. And also in negotiations, be the host of the summit. Yes. So more like it.
Yeah. You know that. Yeah. But I mean, we look forward to it. And for us, we see ourselves as a very integral part of the ecosystem. Sporty FM. I mean, Ghana's first 24/7 sports station, and if the business side of the sports doesn't thrive, I wouldn't be sitting here. So for us, we see ourselves as a key cog in that ecosystem. So it's welcome news for us that somebody like yourself and your Football Foundation of Africa have decided that you'd pivot the conversation around the business of sports. That's moving to value. The representation you said is there, but the value is important. And that's what we've been advocating a lot of the time. And I've said it here that, listen, we are not scratching the surface of the potential that our sports possesses across the ecosystem. So, for example, the value it offers on the side of merchandise, the value it offers on the side of marketing, on the side of image rights, on the side of employment. And we've not scratched the surface. And what you're doing is immense. And I'd like to commend you and congratulate you for it.
Thank you very much, Kosi. I appreciate it.
Amazing. Ellie, do you have any questions for Brian? As we look for it, you said 22nd and 23rd.
Of October.
So mark it on your calendar
Hotel.
if you're listening to us. Alisa Hotel. Ellie, any questions for Brian?
So what is the criteria in terms of attendance? Is it free? What kind of people are expected in there? You mentioned clubs and administrators and all that, but if somebody's listening to and would want to be a part of this, what does it entail? What does it take to be part of it?
So it's a paid event for us to maintain the quality and also be able to cover for our costs. And in Nairobi we've charged $150 USD. That's a regular ticket that gives you access to the 2 days, and of course meals on both days and any other activities that we will have. So this information will be on the website soon, which we will announce next week. And you should be able to access it. Will be afbs.footballfoundation.africa. That's afbs.footballfoundation.africa. All the information will be there. But we also encourage corporates, especially, sometimes challenge, especially for grassroots football stakeholders. It might seem costly or prohibitive to pay this amount, but there's arrangements that we can work with different corporates and give them value. They can sponsor teams to participate. We are trying to make the event as accessible as possible, but also maintain the level of conversation that can have impact on the grassroots. And these are policy conversations, like we said. There was an argument recently on the Ghana Twitter where they were saying you should take more local players to the World Cup and this kind of thing to realize more value back. That's a policy question. Where are you going to discuss that? It's only at the places like the Africa Football Business Summit that this can be done. So yeah,
amazing stuff. We'll look forward to it. And now open the phone lines. A lot of you have been trying to call already, so I'll just open the phone line so you contribute to our conversation. Like I said today, I'm giving out some jerseys, so Charlie, if you call, I'll give America, please bring the jerseys to me. 0542-571-061, 0542-571-061. We've had very, very extensive conversation right here on Sporty 106.1 FM, the Sporty Drive, and the conversation will rage on even after we walk out of these studios. The development of our sports acts is key, not just because we won 3 points, but because We want to take it to the next level commercially as well. But then again, share your thoughts. You can send me a message as well on WhatsApp, 0542-571-061, or give me a call on 0542-571-061. I've got my first caller on the line. Yes, sir. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from?
That is Michael from 37 Traffic.
Yes, boss. Talk to me.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say, really, but then I really love the concept, but he didn't tell us the price, Like, we really love to know if it stays that same amount, For some of us, we would really love to know more,
Okay.
Express more about the game and all.
Okay, so the ticket information will be out together with the venue, and you hear it here first on Sporty FM.
That means Sporty FM will be sharing it with us too, right?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yeah.
then, no problem. In general, no problem, sir.
Yes,
All right.
yes, boss. Thank you.
Stay blessed. Yes, sir.
You too,
All
boss.
right.
Bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's get a few more calls coming through. Time check 6:19. Let me know what you think about the conversations that we have had right here on the Sporty Drive. They've been very enthralling. They've been very, very interesting, and they've been very revealing. Ellie Kondo and Brian have been amazing as well. And I've got another caller on the phone lines. Yes, sir. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, Kosi.
Yes, sir.
I'm Kojo.
Yes, Kojo. Talk to me.
From Domi.
Talk to me, my boss.
I want to know the price of the.
Oh, for the summit. So the information will be put out very shortly on Sporty FM with the venue and everything. So just keep it locked. We'll put all the information out for you.
Well, I've won it. What about the jersey?
Then yes, you can pass by Sporty FM to pick up your jersey. You know.
I don't know location.
So Sporty FM is at Jolu, number 47 Usubedu Avenue. So if you put Sporty FM in the map, it will bring you.
What time, please?
Anytime during the day tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you get to the reception, the producer will make note of you, Kojo. Kojoado. Okay. So producer, kindly make a note, Kojoado. Just mention your name and then you have your jersey.
Okay.
Okay, Kojo. Thank you.
Welcome.
Amazing stuff. So Kojo has a jersey. The first caller didn't ask for his jersey, but if you want your jersey, please come for it. Yes, sir. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from? Oh, please, your line. Kindly reposition and call us back. We'll be more than happy to hear from you, but I'm sure you're having a few issues with your phone lines. So kindly just reposition and give us a call back, and we'll be more than happy to hear your views on everything that we have discussed right here on the Sporty Drive. Time check, 6:21. Charlie, today has been amazing, man. I love it. And like I said, I will be there, so you got to be there as well. Yes, sir. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, it's me again.
Yes.
I just called. The line dropped.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay now?
Yes, it's fine now.
Yeah, Kosi. This is Charles from Mandina.
Charles, talk to me.
Yeah. I've been listening to your Kenyan brother.
Yes.
Very carefully, and this is a brilliant idea. But you see, I'm not saying what he's doing. See, I think when you mirror this with what we are doing in Ghana, I think we keep saying we should have a platform where we discuss football. What are we getting from? Even I remember some weeks ago you were talking with Kojo, is it Kojo and I?
Yes.
About what kind of football offers to the economy. What is the linkage? We don't have any. We don't know the value of even the Ghana Premier League.
And that's an indictment on us. I keep saying it. That listen, if you don't have a destination in mind, why are you starting a journey? And that's one of the reasons why we are going into this summit, so we can speak to the powers that be and the stakeholders, because they will be there. That listen, we need to sort this out. We really do.
It's so sad. I mean, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not saying this idea is very good, but this is long due. I think we should be doing more like this. The people, the government of Ghana, the people who are running our football should be sitting down to organizing some of these things. Even it should be free for ordinary people to go and ask questions. You understand? I heard him saying $150.
No, that was for the one they organized in Kenya. The prizes for the Ghana one are not out yet. And he said it's just to control the attendance and also make sure that it's a smooth running program.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. So after October, when the program is done, what next? So I think Kofi Adams, Honorable Kofi Adams, he is a minister of Sports and Recreation. He should look at this thing and replicate it. This time to tackle Ghana football. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very happy with what they are doing. So kudos.
Awesome. Thank you, boss. Thank you very much. I can take a couple more calls before we call it a day. 0542571061. The boys want to come and talk. Shout out to man like Wadud. Wadud is in the building. Wadud is over the moon because Spain have won the World Cup. But then, pardon? Wadud, come.
He won a massive bet.
Yeah, Wadud invested and won. That's one of the other avenues that a lot of people are gaining from with regards to this particular sports economy. But any final words from you, Brian?
I think just to answer the gentleman who you spoke to last, Africa really needs more of these platforms. Me coming here to do the Africa Football Business Summit, it should be like a start. And that's my vision, is to move it to another country in 2027. There should be a model that can be localized or regionalized, that can happen more often, where we can really start to tackle the economic side of sports, the economic side of football. So for me, as a final word, is just to keep an eye out for the announcement next week, afbs.footballfoundation.africa. I'm really happy to be in Accra. Like I said, it's my other home, my second home, or probably my first. I say I'm an African before I'm Kenyan. That's always been my mantra. So I'm really happy to be here, and I look forward to organizing the 5th Africa Football Business Summit here. You are all welcome to attend. Your input, suggestions are very much welcome. I'm around, like I said, for potential partner sponsors. Feel free to reach out. info@footballfoundation.africa, and let's engage. So thank you very much, Kosi, for this opportunity.
It's always a pleasure. You're always welcome. When you go to Gat Kenya, tell our Sporty FM people that we said, how are you doing?
I'll definitely do that.
Yeah. So Mr. Brian, I'm still struggling to pronounce the saying.
Wesaala. Yeah.
Wesaala. Yeah, okay. So Mr. Brian Wesaala, founder for Football Foundation for Africa and the African Football Business Summit as well, which will be held here in Ghana. It's been an absolutely intriguing conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'll be looking forward to it as well, and making a lot of noise about it, because I'm one of the biggest advocates for transformation in our sports. I mean, coming from a very deep-rooted marketing background, I understand the value chain and the commercial opportunities that exist. So we push it as much as we can. So it'll be amazing to explore more insights based on what you do as well. So I'd like to say a big thank you to you for joining us as well. The Sporty Drive continues, but in between time, we take a quick break.
From the red, gold and green of Ghana to the blue, white, red and yellow of Cape Verde, every color flying across this continent has a place in the Africa United collection. Jerseys, cargo pants, crop tops, bomber jackets, athleisure made right here on home soil. Because when your team runs out onto that pitch, you should feel it in what you have on. Find your World Cup kits at the Nije House in Jolo, besides the Abelempe traffic lights. Order online or call for delivery. Corporate and bulk orders are welcome. Call or WhatsApp 059-856-5420 or visit therepublicofafrica.com. Republic of Africa, uniting all of Africa's believers.
We dey brass them. Who dey brass? We dey brass them. Who dey brass? We dey brass them. Brass your teeth. Brass your teeth every day and night. After eating before bed, brass the gems away. The sugar jam, we go brass them. Fufu jam, we go brass them. Rice jam, we go brass them. We go.
comes to your teeth, Fano World Cup. Brush them twice daily with Pepsodent, now in limited edition packs. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome, contestants, to the final round. Winner takes all. For 1,000 points, all you have to do is give me the correct answer to the following riddle. I am one place, but with the right connection, I can be 1,000 other places. Some people call me magic. Some people call me a feeling. In me, you can be anything you want to be. I'm the most common and yet the rarest place in the whole world. What am I?
A church.
Oh, wrong. Contestant 3, what's your answer?
The answer is home.
Correct. Congratulations to our winner. Contestant 3.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Why wait for full time when football.com can pay you early? It's called Early Wins, and it keeps getting better. Double chance, one up. Your team takes a 1-goal lead at any point, your bet is settled instantly. They never lead, a draw at full time, you still win. 2 ways to collect from one bet. And with 2 up, if your team goes 2 goals ahead, you're paid right there. Match still going on? It doesn't matter. Your money is yours, even if the other team comes back. Top odds, early payouts, first on football.com. Download the app now. This ad is approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
You're listening to Sporty Drive.
Young cars, last. Now everybody go to breakfast.
Sporty FM.